Man, let's talk about D'Angelo. Because when we talk about soul, real soul, the kind that grabs you somewhere deep where words don't even reach, you got to bring his name up. D'Angelo isn't just an artist, he's a feeling. He's mystery, groove, heartbreak, and truth, all tangled together in that voice. He was born Michael Eugene Archer down in Richmond, Virginia. His dad was a preacher, and that church energy runs through his blood. You can hear it every time he opens his mouth. Church gave him discipline, it gave him reverence, but it also gave him a hunger, that spiritual tension between sacred and sensual that lives in every one of his songs. He started on piano, and early on, people around him could tell this kid didn't just play, he felt. He'd spend hours blending gospel chords with jazz runs, figuring out how to make emotion sound like melody. Now imagine being that talented, that young, growing up in the South where soul never really left the air. By the time D'Angelo was a teenager, he was already leading a local group, writing songs, crafting harmonies. He was shy, quiet, but the music did the talking. Every chord he touched had purpose. When the 90s came around, R&B was shifting. You had the New Jack Swing Cats, you had hip hop creeping into the love songs thick with new ideas. Then here comes D'Angelo, 21 years old, dropping Brown Sugar in 1995. That album didn't just land, it bloomed. It was warm, slow, earthy. The kind of record that felt like it was made on analog tape, by hand, not a computer. Brown Sugar, Lady, Cruisin', Me and Those Dreamin' Eyes of Mine. Every song felt like candlelight and smoke, that perfect mix of grit and grace. He didn't sound like anybody else. He wasn't chasing airplay or fitting into the formula. He was following the groove. His sound had that loose pocket, the kind that makes your head nod without you realizing it. It was new, but it was ancient too, like he'd cracked open the spirit of Marvin, Curtis, and Prince, then reimagined it for a new generation. D'Angelo wasn't trying to be the next anything. He was just being himself, raw, humble, and dangerous with a microphone. He could whisper and still make you feel it in your chest. That's the magic of him. He knows the space between the notes matters as much as the notes themselves. Then 5 years later, 2000, he hits with Voodoo. And man, that album wasn't just a follow-up. It was a whole new planet. The Soulquarians, Questlove, Pino Palladino, James Poyser, all of them came together at Electric Lady Studios in New York and turned that space into a temple. Voodoo was recorded mostly live, with imperfections left in on purpose. You can hear the air, the sweat, the humanity in it. Devil's Pie, Spanish Joint, One Mo Gin, The Root. Those weren't songs you just listened to. They were songs you lived inside. And then there's Untitled, How Does It Feel? That song alone could stop time. The simplicity of it, just his voice, that slow guitar, and pure emotion. Then came that video, D'Angelo standing there, nothing to hide behind, just presence. It was beautiful, powerful, but also a double-edged sword. Suddenly, the industry saw him more as an image than a musician. The fame, the pressure, the attention, it started to bury the man behind the art. That's the thing about D'Angelo. He's an artist. He's not built for the noise and the machine that comes with fame. He's built for creation, not exposure. So after Voodoo, he disappeared for years. No new music, no interviews, just silence. People whispered, said he'd lost himself, said he'd never come back. But real fans knew the silence wasn't the end, it was the recharge. Then, 14 years later, out of nowhere, Black Messiah dropped in December 2014. No marketing plan, no promo, no rollout, just music. And it couldn't have arrived at a more powerful time. The world was loud, protests, unrest, voices demanding change. And here comes D'Angelo, like a quiet storm with something to say. That album was raw, fuzzy, political, spiritual, messy, imperfect. You could feel the weight of it in every line. He wasn't trying to please the charts or feed the radio. He was speaking directly to the people. The Charade, Till It's Done, Ain't That Easy. Songs about truth, struggle, and redemption. It was a statement, not a comeback. D'Angelo wasn't just returning to music. He was returning to purpose. That's the thing about him. He moves when the spirit says move. Brown Sugar was love. Voodoo was transformation. Black Messiah was revolution. Each one hit at a moment when we needed it. He's not just part of R&B history, he's part of its heartbeat. His fingerprints are everywhere. You can hear D'Angelo's influence in the new school, In Frank Ocean's vulnerability, Anderson Paak's funk, Miguel's sensuality, Daniel Caesar's honesty, even in Kendrick Lamar's melodic storytelling. Every one of them borrowed a little piece of the spirit he revived. D'Angelo showed that you could be soulful and complex, spiritual and sexy, confident and broken, all at once. And what makes him even more special is that mystery. He doesn't flood social media. He doesn't live for interviews. He doesn't chase trends. He just appears when the world needs him. And every time he does, everything else feels small for a moment. Because with D'Angelo, silence isn't absence, it's preparation. He reminds you that great art isn't about perfection. It's about feeling, about leaving fingerprints on your soul. D'Angelo's music is the kind that lives longer than charts or streams. It's the music people rediscover 20 years later and say, yo, this still hits like it's new. When you listen to him, you don't just hear an artist, you hear a man constantly searching for truth inside the music. You hear the preacher's son who found a pulpit in rhythm and harmony. You hear the kid who turned pain into prayer and love into language. That's why when we talk about soul, not just R&B, not just hits, but soul in its purest form, D'Angelo's name stands tall. Because he didn't just sing it, he embodied it. He carried the weight of funk, gospel, rebellion, and black artistry in every word. And maybe that's why he still feels untouchable. Because D'Angelo never tried to be the biggest star. He just tried to be the truest version of himself. And somehow, that's exactly what made him legendary. So if you ever need a reminder of what real soul sounds like, throw on Brown Sugar, drift through Voodoo, or let Black Messiah hit your chest. That's not just music, that's healing. That's truth. That's D'Angelo. And if you felt this one, show some love. Hit that like, drop a comment, subscribe, and keep that real soul alive. Because on Quick Soul Music Re-Ups, we're keeping the groove moving, one legend at a time.